Oh my, it's Kelly White.
Hey, it's James Van Pod.
What are you up to?
Thinking about changing the world.
Me too. We should do a show together.
What would it be about?
Let me show you.
The James and Kellee Show. Hi.
Hi. How's the
Hi there. Happy
here.
belated Easter to you.
Same to you, Kelly. Same to you. Happy spring.
Happy spring. It's so great. I love spring.
I love my favorite season is spring.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think it's becoming mine too, because I'm actually watching blossoms bloom and looking forward. Used to be summer for me all the time, and now I'm like, no, give me spring and give me warm weather, please.
Is it warm where you are now in Wisconsin?
70 degrees, and it's beautiful.
Great. That's what it's like in California. It's great.
Yeah.
And does it change? One day it's 20, like New York was, the East Coast was 23 and snowy, and then the day before it was like 70.
Yeah, it does that here too. Yeah.
Did you have any of those tornadoes, Kelly?
Did I do what?
Have any of those 14 tornadoes? That was the Midwest.
We missed the tornadoes.
Okay. But
yeah, we missed the tornadoes, but I have been known to run into my basement on occasion. So talking to you actually on the phone, I have to go now. So hopefully I'll have good karma with no tornadoes.
So that's our subject tonight, everybody, is karma. So what is karma? Kelly, what is karma?
Well, some people say it's action. According to the Buddhists, it's when you take action. Taking action.
Taking action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When people talk about karma, a lot of people think that it's karma, good karma, bad karma, or bad karma. A lot of people think karma is bad. They've done something bad. You're going to get bad karma or positive karma or your dharma. And I, being the stickler Virgo, I like the definition that karma is just energy. And it's what you do with that. It's what you create with that energy. What you give out to the universe is what you're going to get back. So tonight's show, the boomerang effect, what you give out, you get back. So I think a lot of it, in my belief, is, I could be wrong, my belief is that we are beautiful, creative beings. We are souls that are loving beings that are constantly creating, because I believe we're God. We're that essence of God, and God is creating, loving all the time. And God's constantly creating. And right now, as we're here, and we're speaking to each other, we're creating another level of creating, maybe an unconscious level, we're creating. Yeah. And I think that creation is tied into properties of positiveness or love or fear, let's say it that way, limitedness or expansive. Yes. And I think love is expansiveness. And I think that positivity, that the energy that you're behind a thought, the intention behind the thought, or behind an act, or behind what you say, the power of the words,
right?
What you create with your words. I think that's the energy you're going to get back. The energy you're giving out is what you'll experience. I think that's what about karma. That to me is what that is. The law of cause and effect is also that same thing.
The choices that you make. The choices.
So, the choices that you make. The choices that you make will definitely feed into it. Of course, they feed into that. The fullness of it all. It's a part of it for sure. The choices that you make. Again, choices based upon love or fear. So, and right now, as people think, why is life so hard? Why is it so bad? What is it going on here? Well, if we stop that and take away the judgment, and we stop and we just become aware, it's just an experience. It's a lesson. We might not like it. It might be difficult, but how do we not know that on some other level that our soul is like an advanced soul, and we're going through a hard lesson on the earth because we're an advanced soul? That the hardest lessons that we have down here are reserved for the advanced soul. How do we not know? So in a way, we just step back and have the experience and become aware of the experience, go through the experience without judgment, without, this is bad, this is good. Just stop judging it. Just, it is what, this one thing, it is what it is, and that's all that it is.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Just energy. What do we do with the energy?
Yeah. Do you know what causes karma?
What?
Ignorance. Ignorance causes karma. And in man's law, they say that ignorance is no excuse for the law. And in spiritual law, ignorance is no excuse for the spiritual law.
I mean,
It's
ignorance in so many levels, isn't it? I mean, look at the world
right,
today. Ignorance. It's
right,
yeah, because I guess you're ignorant. You do not smart things. You don't do
hmm
wise. You
right.
do things that can pull you back to. You know, people often ask me, "Well, can you go? Can you go backwards? If you learn something, can you unlearn it?"
It's a good question.
Yeah, and I always believe that you couldn't because once you've learned, the red light means stop and green means go, you wouldn't go backwards. But I will say there's always choices. Like I say, there's
Yeah.
always free will. There's always a sense of being influenced by other people,
hmm
your peers, your family. But innately, I think if a person lives innately within their soul self and have a clear relationship with that soul self, and they're really in tune with it, they won't go backwards because they'll know within them what is the right thing to do,
Right,
and what is the wrong thing to do. And the
right.
karma could also say it's a golden rule.
hmm
What you get out, you get back. Treat another person as you want to be treated. So that's karma and energy. You're giving out a positive energy, and you don't do it just to get back, but that's what's going
Right.
to happen. It's a natural law. What you give, the energy flows. Energy can never be diminished. The energy just flows. In the beginning, never end. It just is. It just is.
Okay.
It can die. It just is. So what you can do with that energy,
Mm.
and,
Let's talk about for a moment karmic groups. What are your thoughts on karmic groups?
interesting. Well, I'm going to use a very bad example. Let's say there's a basketball game, right?
Okay.
And the one team is on the side, and um, the team is starting to think we have to win this. We got to think in certain ways to win. Um, I think as a totalian, so the group, a team, and they're thinking one way. But within that group, if one of them doesn't think the right way and they think something else or something negative, or someone else get dirties the water,
hmm
that energy has to come to the surface. So
mm
you might have a group that's positive energy, we're going to win, we're going to win. And there might be some people that think we're going to win, but let's cheat,
Right.
That too has to be come to the surface and realize within that group. So the whole group has to go through that, whether it's cheating or be honest, they
hmm
all experience it. So we experience things at a group level as well. Now, as a soul group level, I think you also experience karmic experiences with your soul group, and that's why many people think we come back here and we advance for our own self, but not only our own self, but for our soul group, our family, our friends, our community. We're here to work with each other. No one's alone. We're all connected. So we want to also help them to grow, help the families grow. Say
Right.
someone has an argument with a family member and they can't forgive them, want to go to their deathbed without forgiving them. Wrong, 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 because you're limiting that energy.
Mhm.
And you go, it does, I would say, go backwards, but it gets stagnant, if you will. And nothing should be stagnant because, as we know, energy is moving all the time. You're going
Right.
against the natural law. You're going against the natural law of movement. See,
Right.
blocking that movement. So there might be a generation they would say stagnant and they don't evolve as much because that
Mhm.
one issue. So there is group karma. There's group soul karma. I think there's country karma, as we might have found in these past 4 years. There's country karma. I think there's earth karma. I think city karma. As you know, when a city is established, there's a astrological chart
Yep.
created from that, and it really works into it, doesn't it?
Boy, that sure makes a lot of sense. Yes, it
And
does.
it's all energy. It says where the stars and
Yeah.
planets were, and that city was established creates that energetic connection.
hmm
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What do you think of when people, because I've been asked this so many times about the end of a karmic cycle, like you've been in a relationship for a long time and you're about ready to end it. They call it the end of a karmic cycle. I mean, for me, it's have you learned everything that you came to learn?
Yes. So, or burning it out. You burn out
Yeah.
the karmic cycle. So you come back to learn certain things, and some of them are karmic, which is that energy you have to, relive until you fully experience it. And once you fully experience it from all angles, then it's gone. It's burned out. It's experienced, if you
Yeah.
will. And I've had that. I went through a marriage. I was married
Yeah.
to a lady named Holly for a while, and that was complete karmic. Now, this is before I was into anything psychic or spiritual, but I was in college, and I was 18, going to a upstate New York college, and it was January, and I was a stage manager in the play production show, and I got then started the stage and working, and I see this girl come out on stage, and I never met her before. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh my God, I'm going to marry that girl one day. I'm going to marry
Yeah.
her one day."
Wow.
I married. I became an item for like a year or so, and then we broke up. And it was just I had to be with her. I knew her. Okay, Then what happened was we split up. I moved to New York City, and I know what happened to her. And then fast forward to California, moved out to be a sitcomer, started dating guys. The whole thing was going on, and I was then sitting. Fast forward to development circles. I was sitting in development circles, and I used to see her every time in a development circle. I used to think of her every time, every Tuesday night. And one night I said to the spirit world afterwards, I said, friends, if it's meant to be, it just keeps on coming to mind, please have her call me within the week. I say, please. The next morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings. I'm in California, and I pick it up, and it's Holly from New York, from Connecticut. And she said, hi, James, remember me? Holly. And I'm like, my heart like, now to make a long story short, we ended up, she was divorcing some guy. We moved out to California. We got married, and we had to get married. We had to finish that karmic thing. We had to. I just knew it. And it works, karmically. I knew it was meant to be when things happen. But things happen easily. They just come right on the road. When I said we have to get married, she said, I don't want to. I said, but we have to. I just knew it. Anyway, again, she was looking for a wedding dress. I said, why don't we go here at Macy's? You can't find this Jessica McClintock dress, size, whatever. I said, well, let's check. Went up to the third floor, off the escalator on the mannequin. Right there was the dress that she wanted, on sale, right size. A friend of mine lent me her house in Malibu to have the wedding, right next to where Madonna got married. And a client of mine gave me her castle in the south of France for a honeymoon. That was meant to be. When we got married, that's for sure. I knew it had to go. We had to go to the karmic connection. And years later, a healing friend of mine said, do you know what Holly is? Yes, because that was a karmic thing you did with her. I said, yes, I had to resolve that.
So you had to play it out. You had to.
I had to play it out. And when it was played out, it got to a natural point where it's time to separate, which is time to separate. And that's why souls come together for a season, a reason, or a lifetime.
Yes.
The karma might be just to get together again. The karma might be just to get together to finish something off and then go on. The karma might be to come together and stay together. Or because you love each other, just be together as friends or whatever.
Right. I love this question. Baba G says, what types of karmas need to be dissolved and broken in order to bring one's life partner? Interesting question.
Wow. I don't know. You feel, Kelly, but I would say, Baba G, that there's got to be a relationship with yourself. There's got to be, take away the illusion of yourself and the falsehoods of yourself. And get out the nitty-gritty of who you are, this loving soul. What holds you back from loving yourself unconditionally? What other energies are there, or family, or friends, or society, whoever it might be, that holds you back from truly loving yourself? And that's the beginning of burning up that karma, if you will, that perspective of yourself. And you can do it. We always have the opportunity to do it every day. So you can do it right now, Babaji. Without a doubt.
Wow, that's a great answer for that.
People think of you as none of your business. So remember that one.
Right. Oh, this is the great one. Elizabeth Glomsky says, can you explain family karmic debt? How do we overcome that and handle the hurt that comes with that? It's a great question. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, Elizabeth. We all know this. We all feel everybody's pain on this one.
It's a drama. It's a drama. It's drama of the year. So if we remember that, Kelly, again, jump in here because you might have.
Well, I mean, my experience with this is that everybody in a family, when we all come together as a soul group family, to me, I've always felt that there was one that was a little more evolved. And the one that was evolved needed to help the other ones just kind of come through and work through their issues. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
That's interesting. I never heard that before. That's interesting, Kelly. I just think that from my own experience, I don't know, but I think that it's a drama that we share different roles. And I think as Shakespeare said, the world is a stage and we're merely players upon it. And I think in each lifetime we take on these different roles, whether it's a mother or a son, a grandchild, an aunt, a suicide person, different roles, if you will. Right. And the dynamic is different. So if you're a grandparent, it's a different role that you would be as a boy, as a son. Or we take on these different roles to learn different situations and how to handle those situations from another's point of view, and also have empathy from someone else.
For sure. Absolutely. And families, really, we can learn a lot of empathy. You can really get into it.
We really learn the most. We can grow the most with families, or pull back. But we really do learn the most. We pick them. Because in classes with them before, they are our soulmates. They're our soulmates because we've been through many, many lifetimes, many learning lessons. And those people in your family that you do not like the most, so you look at them and say, What about me don't I like? Why am I not liking them? That's something within me that has to come into wholeness of being.
So true. Peter Marks asks a great question. Is karma only negative?
No. So dharma is positive. It's an energy. So I don't think karma is negative. Think of it as an energy. It's what you do with that energy, what you decide to do, what you decide to do with the energy. Now, I got a bottle of water here. Now, I can decide to just throw this on the floor, or I can decide to just put water to plants, or drink it, or just throw it in the garbage. Just what my intention is, what I choose to do with this. And the energy, doing something with the intention behind it, should be as a positive, should be a loving intention. And be considerate of other people, and also consider the bigger picture, the bigger view of things. How will this affect that person and that person? Think of it this way. I like to think of karma sometimes as a billiard game. A billiard game. So
Okay.
when you have the intention in the cue ball and you break up the pile, the energy that it takes to get that cue ball and breaks into those balls, and it just opens up those balls. They go all different areas. The energy hasn't changed. It's when those balls are going to different pockets around the table. It's just broken up, if you will. So it's transmuted. It's still the same amount of energy, chemical energy. It's just dispersed differently, you see. So think about when you do something, there's an energy, there's an intention, and there's what we call a rippling effect. How that will affect that person and that person and that person. And I talk about this all the time, Kelly, with I just share it real quickly. When you go to a store and you're in a bad mood, or a gasoline station, and you're really in a bad mood for some reason, and you yell at the person behind the cash register, and they get upset, and they go and yell at a coworker, and the coworker gets upset and goes home and yells at a family member, and a family member gets on the telephone and yells at a friend, whatever. When you have your life review, when you pass out of this physical world, spirit, you will see that when that happened, that scenario, when that played out, it's not the great grandiose things we do, like give money to an organization, or it's with those little things that we've done. So you will see it, feel it, and experience it 10 times, 20 times, 30 times stronger from the cash register person's point of view.
Wow.
And how that will affect, how it affected that person and that.
Right.
And you'll see how your one thought, your one word, your one action affected that person, that person, that person. And it's a ripple that goes out to everybody. And you're responsible. You're responsible. So if you have that awareness now while we're in the body, goodness, wouldn't you behave differently? Wouldn't the world behave differently? If the leaders do this,
Truly.
the world would be very different.
So different. Rain Hounsel asks a great question. Do we continue to heal karma with someone who has crossed over? Great question. Or does it end until we are united again and reincarnate?
Kelly, you answer that one.
Well, I think that we do I think that we do always continue to heal. I think that if you can heal on this side, it might be a little better for everybody. But I think you can always have compassion and understanding and forgiveness for whatever has gone on.
Yeah, in hindsight,
in hindsight.
And we expand. I know when someone passes over, we feel bad. Well, I should have said that. I should have done. I didn't mean that. Whatever. So right there is a process of awareness that you're going to be continuing to healing that relationship. And those that pass the spirit world have a new expansion, a new awareness, and they want nothing better to say I'm sorry or something better.
Right.
So there is a sense of it's still energy. Is what you're now choosing to do with that energy, bringing love instead of fear.
Right.
Expansion instead of limitations, stagnation.
Right. So Karen Abercrombie says, if you do wrong to someone over and over, do they get paid back in the same lifetime or a next lifetime?
If you
do wrong to someone.
Now hold on right there, because I know that question is loaded, because mother messed her up, or a family member messed her up, or someone else. Right through that one. Been around too long. If you do choose to do something wrong to someone over and over again, well, number one, the person that does something wrong over and over again has no awareness. Otherwise, it would not do it over and over again. And Kelly, my friend Kelly here, opened my eyes when she said,
"He's limited."
Limited. They're
limited.
Limited. They're not aware that they're doing something wrong. If they're aware of doing something wrong, they wouldn't do it. And if they're aware that it's hurting them, they certainly wouldn't do it. So what do you do then, Karen? You have to be the teacher. You have to say, well, and do it in a very nice, gentle, loving way. Maybe that's why you're in that position, to teach that person it's not the right thing to do. So you would say, this is not good. It's energy. Why would you want to do this? If it hurts me, it hurts you. Why would you want to do that? So it's an educational thing. So wherever you can see every single day, we're given opportunities to teach or be the student. So this is obviously one of teaching, and that's a great teaching moment. It was a great moment that who knows that each souls have come together maybe lifetimes to get to this moment right now.
Exactly. And Betty Buchanan says, can that be from a past life? And that, absolutely.
Sure, it can be. Of course, it can be. It can be
Yeah.
past. The soul takes on these memories of the past and habits, if you will. They're habits, and they need to be broken habits. And sometimes you always have to take the higher road to break them. Um, so it's interesting. But as above, so below. I mean, there you go.
Tell that story, if you will, about it's such a good story.
Okay, a couple of things I'd share. From our friend Peter Redgrove, who everyone's
Mhm.
going to meet very soon. He's a life coach. He's incredible, this man. Without Peter, I would not have been who I am today. He pushed me right talking to heaven, and he's changed the world with me. So anyway, he said to me once this great story, and you might have heard it from in a different way, said a different way, but I took it as it was a very wealthy man, very, very wealthy. And he passed out of the body, he died, and he met St. Peter at the gate. And St. Peter said, "Oh, yes." I checked him with the list. "Come on in." This gentleman went in, and St. Peter said, "Come on, I'll show you where your house is, your domain." Very well. And he's looking around. He sees the beautiful parks and the greenery and the flowers and the incredible buildings. He said, "Oh, this is just gorgeous. This is like the manors that I used to have on the earth." He goes, "Okay, well, yes, it's very pretty here." And they turn this corner of this path. They go down this little hill, and it gets a little bit darker, and the house is getting a little smaller, and the color is changing now. It's getting a little muted. And the energy shifts. And St. Peter said, "Well, where are we going?" And the man said, "Where are we going?" St. Peter said, "We're going to show you your house." He goes, "Okay, well, why are we going down?" He goes, "Just this way, just a little further. Come on." So going down further, kind of a couple of steps in, and it gets darker and darker. And it's almost like a forest. We can barely see. And the house, so we can make everything smaller, and you can barely see people. And the man said, "Where are we going?" And St. Peter said, "I'm bringing you to your place of your dome. It's like your place to live." And he said, "There must be some kind of mistake. This is not my type of place. I had great mansions, and I had many, many people, hundreds and hundreds of people working for me. This can't be. God made a mistake." And St. Peter turns to him and he said, "God doesn't make mistakes." So a little bit further on, and you barely can see the man is like the rug curling, and these little hovels in the distance. And St. Peter turned and goes, "There's your place right there." And he could barely see it. And he said, "How could that be? I was one of the richest men in the world. I owned people. This is impossible. How can that be?" And St. Peter looked at him and he said, "We can only build with the materials you sent us."
Wow. I never tire of that story.
Great one.
Right.
So true. So think of the bigger picture. I always think of a bank account. Just have
Mhm.
some savings in there, and treat people as you want to be treated. Make the world a happier place. Smile at people. Joke with people. Joke with yourself. I have a friend now who's recently come into my life, this healer friend, and he's laughing. I'm in one part of the house, in another part of the house, he's laughing. What are you laughing at? I'm telling myself a joke. I do the same thing. You laugh at yourself. You have to. I mean, come on.
Right.
Life shouldn't be taken so seriously.
Oh my gosh.
Don't be
Um,
pulled into the quicksand. Don't be pulled into the quicksand.
right. So, okay, how do we create good karma for ourselves? Basically, what you just said. Do good in the world. Be nice. Be kind. Be empathic. Be compassionate. Be nice. Don't be ignorant. It's
Don't be
easy.
ignorant. Learn, expand.
Learn.
Don't judge. Don't judge. Don't judge. Who are you to judge? Always see people
Right.
with more and not less. And you never know someone's background when you meet them. When you meet an individual for the first time, you're meeting them and all their lifetimes. It's like a big moving truck behind them, and all that baggage. So,
Right.
you're aware of that. You're meeting all that too. So,
Well, Caitlin Monsanti says, can we make up for bad karma once we become aware of the want to change?
ding, ding, ding,
Yes,
ding.
that's the
Yes,
answer.
exactly right. First step in healing is awareness. So
Hmm.
once you become aware of not the good energy, change
Hmm.
it. Don't do that anymore. Don't do that thing that's bad. Don't treat others like that. Don't say some bad words and negative pejoratives. Don't do that. That's not right. You're better than that. People are better than that. And don't go to the lowest common denominator on these TV reality shows. That's horrendous because it puts people in a very bad light. And I think that's a real misuse of responsibility of
Yeah.
producers. I really do, and I was in that machine for a while, and it was a tough place. But you've got to be responsible for what you put out to the public. You've got to be responsible. I know Ghost Whisperer. I made sure that at the end of every one of those episodes, I brought it to love and light because I said to the executives of CBS, I said to Les Moonves, and people are there. I said, listen, we're putting an energy out there that people are watching this. They're really for an hour. You don't leave them negative and limited and blocked and upset. You want to bring them to higher expansion and consciousness and love, healing. That's what you want to put in the world. And I believe that. And I also believe that people that probably these horror movies and negative things, they put that in the ethers. That energy, it's energy. And they're putting that into the ethers. It's got to go somewhere. So look at the world the past 4 or 5 years. And just saying, it's come back to roost. I think some of that is the negativity that's been thrown out there. So come back. It's an energy.
Right. Joanne Jordan asks a question. She says, how do you stop addiction? I feel like a schmuck. I mean, I'm a very good person. I love people, but alcohol is difficult to quit. I've been through rehabs, but it didn't help. That is a tough one. You may need require medication, Joanne. I don't know
Kellee,
if you've tried that.
And Kellee, isn't that tied into traumatic experiences sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. It's brain chemistry, it's trauma, it's addiction, has all the components of that.
It's genetics. It's
Genetics.
alcoholics and addiction. Yep. It's this is a planet of addiction. So you come back here to learn about addictions. So don't beat yourself up, sweetheart. It's a hard lesson. You want to do the best you can. As I say, one day at a time. So take one day at a time, and when you feel the urges, maybe do something positive. Maybe reach out and call somebody. Maybe just do something in a positive way. I don't know what to do. Bake a cake. I don't know. Call somebody. Draw. I don't know.
No, but really, that's what they have these meetings for, the AA meetings, and they really are quite fantastic. And good therapist will help. Yeah, good for you for reaching out, Joanne.
And addiction is not just chemical. I mean, not just substances. It could be relationships as well.
Could be. Listen, this is a tough dimension. This is a tough place to be. And so you really want to be as aware and conscious of everything you do. You want to be aware. You want to feel what it's like to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You want to have compassion. All of these things are going to ease the karma and make the karma good and flow, and good energy flows and continues to flow. So you can ultimately do your Dharma work, which is here, which is the work that you've come to do.
But also, Kellee, I think it's important to know, because we are human, having human experience, that escapism is something. So escapism, the television #1, but reality shows and the politics that's for you, escapism. And I think that because of the intensity of what we're going through, I think escapism is okay in moderation. In moderation. Yeah. I'm a big proponent of marijuana. Fine, I'll take my marijuana. When it's appropriate. When there's nothing to do and garden, enjoy myself, or have a glass of wine. I love a glass of wine. Every once in a while, but not two or three. But one nice glass of wine. I usually end up throwing it out anyway, but I enjoy the time to, if you want to say escape, even gardening is escape for me. It's an escapism. But you know what? You got to do escape in positive ways that won't be detrimental to your health, yourself,
or to somebody else.
Or others.
Yeah. Yeah, and you do need breaks. I mean, we all need breaks through life. My goodness.
Every day, because we got to talk to each other. What's going on? It's just really
always a lot going on, and
especially when you're sensitive.
Oh my gosh.
More grounding.
Right. Let's see here. Renee, should we take a call? I think we have a call.
Yes, we do. This is. Hi, you're live in the show. Please ask your question.
Okay, just hold on one moment, please.
Hi there, Sabrina. You're live in the show. Please ask your question.
Sabrina, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi there. What's your question?
Hi, my question is, can you repeat a karmic cycle in more than one lifetime with the same person?
Sure, if you didn't get it right the first time, do it again the second time. If you didn't complete the first time, you're going to do it the second time. So I would suggest completing it the first time and going through, sometimes the illusion of pain, or like the divorce, one, boundary work with partners or friends. That's another one. You're going to have to go through it eventually. So all comes back to loving self, I think. So you're going to have to go through that sometimes, that hurt and that pain. Is that what you're talking about, sweetheart? Closely is that what you're talking about a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it
Yeah.
comes down to self-empowerment, boundaries, and remember something too, sweetheart, that when you're doing that, and it might be hard at the time, but remember, you're teaching it to other individual. So you teach, they might not agree with you, they might say bad things about you, might attack you, but the bigger picture is you're teaching them. You're teaching them boundaries, you're teaching them respect for another person, and you're loving yourself. And no one can take that away from you. You have to love yourself. So when we come back at times to learn to love ourselves, sometimes
And that could be the lesson right there,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
And it's okay, Sabrina, to
Thank
end
you very
something.
much.
You're welcome. But I want everybody to know it's okay when something comes to the end. It's okay to end. It's okay. It's time to move on then. As we say with karma, move on, keep going.
Season reason lifetime. Just next
Right?
bus. The next bus is by 5 minutes.
When I was young, I used to go, next.
Next. All right. After this rock, open up another rock. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Kathleen Fleming says, please help me. I'm struggling as a person after my divorce 3.5 years ago. I want to love myself, but I don't know how to, please. Oh, bless your heart. Loving yourself.
I wish she could call on the phone. Kathleen, could you call on the phone? Is that possible to make a call on that phone number we have? That 213 number. What is that number again, Renee? 213. Renee, are you there?
I don't
There
know.
it
We
is.
probably
459-2775. Kathleen, why don't you try calling there? That might help. I'd like to hear her voice
okay.
because we got to help her. I mean,
Yeah,
just
I know. I felt like we have to help her too.
help her in person. So
Yeah.
I
But-
feel that. I do.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough when people go through a divorce. It's tough. And then if you think about it even from a karmic standpoint, what does it really feel like? What does it mean? What's going to happen? And you may have just come together for that amount of time. You may have learned what you needed to learn. He or she may have learned what they were supposed to learn.
What we tie so much of our own personal self, it's our own identity in that relationship.
Yes.
And as we know, Kelly, that most people, there is no unconditional love. It's really just love for the moment, for helping me out to what can I say? You agree on certain belief systems, agree on certain things with each other, and when that's finished, you got something else has to come out, something to come in.
Yeah.
There's always conditions for relationship. I'm trying to say there's always conditions in a relationship, and the conditions got to be met, and certain conditions, and you agreed in a relationship to meet each other halfway on these certain conditions. But when someone changes and one of the partners goes a different way or grows or something else happens, those conditions have shifted, they've changed, and no longer you're getting 100% from each other. So that relationship will shift. So what do we do with that? So I think I'd love to talk to Kathleen because there's different reasons for divorce, there's different reasons why she cannot find healing.
Right. Oh.
So divorce is not an easy one. I wrote about it in Healing Grief, and it's a grief. And again, you karmically, I don't know. Do we know in a past life that the situation was reversed? And when that person, another time that person left you, you got to feel from both ends. But also, it's hurtful because I think in many lifetimes we've been together with that same soul, and you learn different aspects of that same soul. And this lifetime, you learn now you got to learn how to separate.
Right.
It could be lifetimes of being together too.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And again, you might be learning all kinds of things here: boundaries, love of yourself. And sometimes people stay married because of a belief system. You know, their grandmothers stayed married for 50 years or their parents stayed married forever. And so we have to make this work. And sometimes it's just not possible.
It's easier to stay together. Why should the hardship? It's easy just to stay together.
Yeah.
No, I tell you, I just went to divorce a year ago, and it was a really hard thing after 23 years, but I'll tell you, it's one of the best things in my life because I had my life back and I forgot who I was. I forgot who I was.
Oh,
And sometimes we get so wrapped up in the identity of the person, we forget who we are. And it's one of the greatest things of this life for me, I'll tell you. And I still, I'm still married. I'm not married. We're still partnered. We're still loving each other. And it's great. Just can live together. But, you got to be careful in life. You don't give up your identity so much. And that happens a lot to families too. Kids give up their identity to their mothers and fathers or their families because their parents want to be a certain thing and they fall into this thing that their parents want. And they'll never be happy because they're not happy with themselves. They don't want to have their parents.
So true. That is so true. Let's see. I've struggled. Patti Campbell says, I've struggled all my life with feeling loved. I feel like a partner has eluded me in this lifetime. Very sad. So she struggled all her life. I think she means without feeling loved.
Yeah, so again, that goes to yourself, Patty.
Mhm.
And I just want to go right in there and say, so I deal with it all the time, but there's a treasure chest. And I would love for you tonight to write up just a piece of paper or a pad and just start opening up the treasure chest and writing down things you love about yourself. What do you love about yourself? I think it's time to have a nice talk to yourself and what you really love, because you have not been sent down here just like thrown down to the earth level. You're a soul that is, and obviously you're on this page here, so you have somewhat bit of enlightenment or awareness. So you know better. And don't look to other people to fulfill who you are. Can't do that. That won't work. So you'll get in a situation like this asking, why is it eluding me? Because you have to fill that void of self first. You're first got to love yourself more than anybody else could, because no one can love you more than you can love yourself. Just kidding. So I want you to write down on a piece of paper, open a treasure chest, find the things you love. Go back to your childhood, age 4, and go through your each year and find the positive things, even if there were negative things that happened, even if there was abuse, trauma. Try to get the positive. What did you learn from that hard lesson? And I guarantee you, at the end of that piece of paper, you can look and be very surprised and have a different perspective of yourself.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I do it with a lot of people. It works better.
Yeah, it's a wonderful one. Let's see, Renee.
Questions. I have a contact on. I can't see.
Oh, that's okay.
Right.
Rain Hounsel says maybe learning unconditional love can help us with karma. Yes, and to forgive and love others unconditionally. Yes, ourselves and others. That's it. Yay! You get an A plus. You pass the class.
You got it. That's it. Exactly.
That
What it is.
is it. Self and Pamela says self-love first. I know
Yes.
what you are feeling, but it can change. Yeah, self-love is so important.
And honor your feelings. Honor the feeling of not
Mhm.
loving someone. You got to honor them. Don't judge it. Just that's what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling that way right now. There might be some people in your life that I don't feel like the other day, Easter, whatever. People want me to come to their house. Whatever. I didn't feel like going out. I'm not going to go out. I don't feel
Right.
like it. So I wasn't worried what people think about it. I just didn't feel like to honor that feeling of not wanting to go
Right.
anywhere. And we all have to honor our feelings that we have. Don't beat
Yes.
yourself up. Don't put yourself down or criticize yourself or beat yourself. There'll be enough people out there to do it for you. Don't do it yourself.
Absolutely. It's a good question. Suzanne Cody Croce says, James, why do we grow up being told that it's wrong to love ourselves first? Is that a religious thing, James?
It could be. I mean, it could be. It could be, Kelly. I mean, I don't. It's been so long for me. So that was a religious thing.
But it's a belief system. Something your parents or somebody didn't, tell you to honor yourself or to love
It
yourself.
wasn't right to love yourself, because then it gets into a whole other array of things. And that was by the way, very European too, in the way the Germanic and the
Oh,
that
yeah.
way. I don't know. I was growing up with a sense of myself when I was a little boy, 3 years old. At 4 years old, I had this sense of who I am. I don't know what that is, but I had a sense of self. I don't know how to describe it, but I always did. I always did, and I'm lucky. I'm fortunate to have that.
Really lucky. Yeah.
Fortunate.
Mhm.
But
Usually people don't have that until they're a little older, if that even.
and then when you're like that, then you're thrown into these other situations like, oh God, I can't handle this. But listen, you're thrown into that level which you got to learn from.
Right, absolutely.
Levels of I can't take this. I'm fearful of it. Not, but you got to remind yourself to be strong, man, because you made it this far. That sperm, out of the millions of sperms, that one got into the egg. So there you go.
That one did it. So Lenny Logan says, I've had a very abusive life at the hands of my parents, but I forgive them for me so I can be happy. Lenny, I want to tell you, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry that that's happened to you. Though I love the way you handled it, though, that you forgive them so that you can go on. And that moves the karma. That moves everything. It changes and shifts everything, because who knows what the background is on this one. But
they don't know what they did. They don't know. They're abusive. They didn't know. And we got to go to their childhood.
That's what I meant by that. If you go back and back and back and back, somebody's got to stop the cycle. That really, and you talk about karmic cycles, that is a karmic cycle. And you never want to pass that on to your children. So that's good. Elizabeth says, is trauma based? Is trauma based what? I'm not sure what the question is exactly. Is trauma based? I don't know what she means by that. But I guess any of this could be trauma based, actually. Jeff Adler. Jeff Adler says, hi, Jeff. We love Jeff. Can you please address soul groups and karma? Does the group have a similar karma to work out?
I would say yes. I would say, and in each individual can in that group can help it progress along. And I think that we have to remember that even though we're a group, there might be some souls are not as are ready to move up, they're ready to evolve as others might. But as a soul total, as that soul, we should be able to help them, to assist them, to enlighten them, to be there for them what they need. And the bigger picture, it's really what it's about. And sometimes in a soul group, for instance, families. I mean, I can just say that my family, I just know it, that I was the one who was a teacher. I was the youngest, but yet I was the most, I would say evolved, but I'm way more aware. And
Oh,
because
you
of
were the
that,
most evolved.
and I tended to share that with other members of the family. And
Yeah.
listen, some people took it and rose to the top, and others might not have. Others might not have done that, and that's their choice. But as a group whole, you know, we've evolved as much as we can that way. But each individual has to pull their weight for sure.
Laura Isig asks a great question, James, and you and I were talking about this earlier today. Why do people have jealousy?
Oh God, that's really interesting.
I mean, we were literally talking about that today.
Was it today or 5 minutes before we got on the
It was
air?
5 minutes before we got on the air.
Yes, I just said to Kelly, I said, one thing in this lifetime I've never understood. I'm Sagittarius. I never understood jealousy or envy, and never knew what that was until I became well known, until I was on television. And my first book came out, I was very successful, and I was well known around the world, wherever. I was people jealous and envious of me, and other mediums, by the way, too. People the spiritual, new age, whatever. It's like, what is going on here? And not that I had any way they should be, but why me? Why? I worked hard. I've had a hard life. I've been real and have integrity. I think it's their own. It's obviously their own stuff. It's their own lack of love. I think it's their own lack of love, and look to others to fulfill that. Why should they have it and I don't? I literally was with a meeting at my house in Laguna Beach. I had walking him around, showing him around a different place. Not no one would know this person, by the way, so he would know. And walking around, and we got this, and I just tweeted my garden. It's not that big house, little house. And this person said, "Why can't I have this? Why do you have this?" I'm like, and it threw me because, wow, where did that energy come from? I mean, I was just trying to share that to nice, but people get very fear-based, not loving yourself. They can find it within themselves. I don't know. They're not honoring themselves.
It's a low vibration.
Yeah.
You know,
Love.
Yeah.
Limited consciousness.
Donna Marie says we were taught by action the jealous. I'm not sure what she means by that, but I mean that's a tough one.
It's tough. I also a lot in mediumship, by the way. I mean, there are some places in the world there's mediumship and a lot of churches, SAGB, the Spiritual Association of Great Britain, and different churches. There's a lot of jealousy and envy about what
you've had some situations with some of that, yeah.
People call it spiritual, and it's the farthest thing from it. I'm like, oh my God!
All right.
I was asked to do a spiritual church in Connecticut once, and I said, no, I will not do it. Too much to be politics. Sorry.
God. Kellyanne says, I like your name, Kellyanne. Why do I keep ending up in the same situation? I have learned to love myself and I have a huge heart. I forgive and I try to understand what is causing other people's action. I feel lost. Okay.
Great. It's a good place to start.
It's a good place to start.
You only get out from here. So I would, Kelly, go ahead and cut you off.
Well, I would look at it from a trauma view, Kellyanne, because I'm guessing that there's a lot of trauma somewhere in early on in your life because you don't have any boundaries and you don't either love yourself enough to, I know you're definitely empathic here, but as an empath, it's really hard to learn to let go and to move on. It's one of the hardest things an empath will do because an empath will do anything to please and to take care of and to, make sure that everybody's taken care of first. But I would say you have to really start loving yourself. And here's what I would do too. I would look into somatic experience therapy. And that's where trauma's been stuck in the body. And that might really help move on so you stop feeling that. You work through your issues so you can move on. And that's healingtrauma.org.
And I would say something a little bit different in that you say you keep on repeating the patterns. So obviously you're repeating them because you haven't learned yet. So stop. When the patterns happen, stop and fully go into it. And for not just surface now, go into what's the motivation behind this pattern? What is the energy I'm feeling, I'm seeing, I'm doing? Am I blaming? people. I might take responsibility for myself. I might throw it up to somebody else. It's something that I did, was a manipulation, whatever it was. You've got to see why that pattern continues from yourself. Why do you choose to have that pattern continue? What is it about yourself that is not resolved or not to the wholeness of being that you're repeating that pattern? You're repeating patterns of learning something over and over again. You've got to learn. So stop and see. When it starts repeating, what is it I'm not learning? What is it I'm not looking at honestly and being responsible?
I love that. Kelly Bliss says, another Kelly, I would never say that I was a jealous person until I discovered my partner's affair. And that's a really big one, too. That's a big one for people.
I don't understand.
When she discovered that her partner was having an affair, she became very jealous.
Jealous of what? Of who? Whom?
Well, probably of the, the girlfriend or boyfriend or whomever the person that.
So why would they be jealous of that person? Is it because they're trying to get something from that partner that they haven't received, the other person is getting?
Probably.
That goes back to himself.
Yeah, it all goes back to that. It all goes back to what do you want, how much do you want to take? Love of yourself and boundaries, and it's okay to leave.
And we can play that game over. There's nothing but time.
Such a karmic thing, isn't it? Over.
Play that. You can play the victim consciousness. You can blame that person for what you feel. You can blame that person. Blame game is a big thing. Yeah. And also the pain body, being that pain body.
Yes.
Pain.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can't be free until you let it go. And the only way to let it go is to love yourself more than anybody else could. And loving yourself to a point where sometimes it's painful learning things about yourself. But you know what? In the end, it's going to be fantastic. But you've got to get to that point. Otherwise, you repeat that karma, that energy.
Exactly.
You'll magnetize people in your life, those same types of people, over and over again.
Exactly. Patti Campbell asks a great question. She says, why is true forgiveness so easy with some and seemingly impossible with others, especially forgiving ourselves? It's so true. You know how some people it's really easy to forgive, and others you just are holding on for some reason.
I think you want to make them wrong. You want to make them wrong.
Yeah.
So you can be right. I think it's an important one. I think it's a control issue. I think it's control. And they're going to let go of control, and you have to. And when you forgive somebody else, you're forgiving yourself. It's not about the other person, it's about yourself. That's really what it's about. And again, it's living that illusion, if you will, because, really, we're all nothing but everything. We're all just pure love. We're not those things. We're just love. And if we just would love ourselves, a simple way, not putting all that stuff on it, things would be a lot easier. And let go of control. You don't have any control. You can't control another person. You can't control situations. All you can do is respond to a situation. You can control how you respond. That you can control. But you can't control the people. So don't try doing that because it'll hold you back.
Totally. Elizabeth Acevedo says, does your own karma get paid by you alone, or do your children pay for it as well? Great question.
Great question.
I think it goes into the children as well. On some people, I do. You don't think so? I've seen it. I've seen it happen.
The biblical saying this: the sins of the father before the children.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen over and over and over. I've seen it in my life.
Me too.
3 generations I've seen it happen in my family. I've seen it happen. And a lot of times in readings, I mentioned this before in the show, that like I'm bringing an example out. A mother whose son dies in a car accident, and a drunk driver. And the drunk driver lives, the son dies. And that mother, the son comes through and says, you have to forgive him. Why? I don't want to forgive me. He took you away. Well, if you hold on to that energy of stagnation, of not forgiving and holding on to that, you're going to block the energy. And that energy will go forward, and it'll go to the next generation down. It'll continue as ongoing, and it'll block something in their life. And we have stagnant energy like that. Again, it blocks your life. It blocks your life force. It blocks all the exciting things that can happen in your life. Remember, everything's movement. You're stopping that movement, and that's not natural. See, so that's a gift we give ourselves. Forgiveness. It's a great one. It's a great lesson. Forgiveness. Oh, on so many levels. But again, love.
Oh my gosh.
Fear. That's all life is. It's choice of love or fear. That's it.
Right.
Nothing less.
Right. Oh my gosh.
It's
so interesting. Yeah, let's take another call.
Yeah,
you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, we do have a call. Adriana, you're live in the show. Go ahead and ask your question.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hi, Kelly. Hi. Happy to be here. I have a quick question. Hi, I'm not too sure if it has to do with karma, but or maybe so, maybe about what you guys are talking about, family karma. So basically, I have this thing where I look at myself in the mirror, and my left side is I see myself right now. I see myself like this, this strong woman just trying to get through life. And when I look at my right side, when I look at my right eye and my right side of my face, I see basically, I want to say 7-year-old me. It's
Mm.
7-year-old me. She's extremely hurt. She's very hurt. She's very sad. She's just crying, and just talking about this gets just goosebumps. And it's hard to talk, but I
Well,
just want to know what do what do you guys recommend, I guess, or
I
how
have,
can I
I have
go
some recommendations
ahead?
here for you, Adriana. First of all, let me say how you're really quite incredible that you have the ability to do that. Because when I look at people, if you look at one side of the face, believe it or not, you can see one side of the person, and the other eye will really reveal a lot of the trauma that they've had. You're highly evolved that you would even ask this question. I'm so glad you called. What I would do is I would go to, and I think it's either healingtrauma.org or traumahealing.org. I can't remember. Renee, do you have it there? Healingtrauma.org.
I think it is
I
healing trauma.
think it is healingtrauma.org. And I'll tell you why I would do this. You can find a wonderful therapist there that will work with trauma, specifically trauma, and trauma gets stuck in the body, and it creates blocks in our vital life force. And the fact that you can see a 7-year-old girl with trauma, I mean, a therapist, you're a therapist's dream, because you'd be able to get into the trauma of everything and to work through this, through everything that you're doing. So I'm really glad you called. I would absolutely make a session with a somatic practitioner, okay, a somatic therapist.
Okay, thank you. Also, I don't know if this has anything to do. I know that it has a lot to do with the occult. It has a lot to do with transformation and sex and just all of that. And I feel like I did go through that as a child, but also I do not remember my childhood.
Yeah, that's why somatic work is really great. Even if you don't remember your childhood, trauma is still stored in the body, and the body will react. So you almost don't have to remember it. It works. This therapy is a beautiful therapy for that. So get yourself into somatic experience therapy.
Are you a water
SE.
sign? Is she a Scorpio or a Pisces or a water sign or Cancer? Are you, Adriana?
Aries, I was born on
You're
the
Aries.
21st,
Oh, happy
but
birthday.
yes,
You must have some
thank
water in
you
your
so
chart.
much. But
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
you probably have a lot of water element of water in your chart because you're very sensitive. You're very
I have most of my chart is dominated by Pisces.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I felt it. So Pisces is a addiction sign, by the way. It's a martyr sign, and it does not surprise me that you were put into a cult or an abuse or stuff like when you're a kid because you're sensitive. And I think I wrote down here when you were first talking that you're not fully integrated. So that's kind of what
Yeah.
you're talking about. The trauma need to be
Hmm.
integrated. And I also wrote down, it was really interesting, Kelly. You brought up that she's so advanced. I've got it over and over again. She's going through this, Adriana, going through this, so a lady can teach it, so you can help other people.
I love that, James. Yes.
Stop
Mhm.
Yeah, I so I really do believe so, and that's why I want to go in and I want to be able to help myself, help my little self, and get her out of wherever she's at. Because I'm not gonna lie, I actually had a mushroom experience, and I have a best friend. Her and I were very in tune with each other, and every time we do that, we're very spiritual, very 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 spiritual. And I want to say that she's one of my closest. I've lived many lifetimes with her.
Sure.
And when we were on this trip, she was able to go into my energy just like that movie Soul, where the guy goes into 22's energies and sees all the people around her, and she's just balled up in there, all crying. And that's how she saw me. She saw me crying. She saw me asking her for help to get me out of there because I was just crying. I was just so sad. But I don't even know. I just
Well,
want to
you're
find a way
right.
to be able to.
You're on the right path. I agree with what Kelly said. You really should look up that website, sweetheart, and get fully integrated. And you have to do that kind of work. And it's one thing to do journeying, whether it's on mushrooms or other psychedelics. That's fine if you have someone guiding you, a shaman.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it before. It's good with a shaman. You can just recreationally do it, and that's a way to build. But I would definitely get the bolts, nuts and bolts that go through this healing traumatic. Go to that org and get a therapist to work with you. That's going to be great groundwork for you for later on, honestly. And you're going to grow and become more aware of who you are. You know, you're not going to let this take you over. You're better than that. Okay, just saying. Thanks,
Adriana. Take care. You know, April Blake says here, Dr. Gabor Mate, who I just love, is an expert on trauma, addiction, and healing. And he's got wonderful videos at wholehearted.org. Yeah, I agree with you, April. Dr. Mate is one of my all-time favorites with healing, addiction, and trauma. And also Dr. Peter Levine, both. Wholehearted.org is a great one also. So thank you for putting that up, April.
Yeah, put it on my website.
Yeah. Thank you. And so, James, tell us, you still have Medium 1 or people, Mediumship 1?
Thanks for bringing it up, Kelly. I forgot. This Friday night, I'm doing a free webinar right here on Facebook and YouTube, and it's just go to my Facebook page. It's 6 o'clock on Friday night. There it is, right there. 4 o'clock. I'm sorry, 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific, and it's going to be talking about Mediumship 1 that I teach. Mediumship 1. I'm opening up that course again. And it's going to cover that night. The free webinar is going to talk exactly what the course is. I'm going to give you different exercises. I'm going to do many different types of readings. I'm going to show you when you tune into the mediumship, how you can get a message through, what you can do. It's going to be a free webinar this Friday night for Mediumship 1. So feel free. It's free to the public. So go there. Go to our website, benprog.com, and look it up.
Great.
Yeah,
wow.
Kelly.
You're very welcome. And so people can still sign up for Mediumship 1.
Yeah, so what it is, we haven't opened it up. It'll be open next week. But this is just an opportunity for people to know what it's about. And you have to go on Friday, first come, first serve. You know, you can't buy tickets, just first come, first serve, 4 o'clock on Friday. Just write it down your calendars. And I'll be mentioning on Soul Care on Friday. I'm just Soul Care Friday to remind people. But yeah, it's a free webinar, and I'm gonna go crazy.
That's gonna be fun. Oh my God! And
I miss teaching. So this whole COVID thing is one thing I do is I miss teaching in public, and that's miss there. But there's lots of what Zoom can do. But it's great that we're reaching people around the world. But I do miss that physical thing. So I'll make up for it later.
Okay. And then on Thursday on my show, I have Bill Sinkay, who's a hypnotist.
Oh, tell us about that. What is happening on Thursday?
It's going to be so fun on Ask Me Anything. I'm going to have Bill Sinkay, and he is a wonderful hypnotist. And we're going to talk about hypnotherapy and how important it is and how it can change your life, hypnotherapy.
And Kelly, is it show hypnotism? Was it therapeutic hypnotism?
It's therapeutic. It's for, could be anything, stage fright, stop smoking, diet, anything. I mean, really, it's transformational.
And I've done it before, past life regression with Brian Weiss, past life regression for hypnosis. And that's something I'd like to ask on Thursday about past life regression.
We'll see if Bill does that. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah.
We got to do that on the show. We should talk about reincarnation.
Let's do that.
Yeah, we should show them reincarnation. Now we've done karma. We can do reincarnation.
I'm writing this down. And
this is how we create shows.
This is how we create shows. And if you guys have any other great topics for us, let us know, because we have a bunch of good ones.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks James. Thanks, Renee.
Bye.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kelly White.
The James and Kellee Show.